go!
Hey everyone, welcome back to More Salt. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a really great recipe that's perfect for holiday parties, family get-togethers. It's just perfect for this time of year. It's comforting. Vegans and non-vegans alike will love it. I'm going to be showing you how to make vegan arancini. If you don't know, arancini traditionally are basically fried rice balls that are breaded and filled with cheese, meat, anything you kind of want them to be filled with, and they are delicious. Let's face it though, anything that is deep fried is bound to be delicious. But today we are taking a healthier route and I'm going to show you how to bake them in the oven instead of frying them. And since this is a vegan cooking channel, in the filling instead of meat and cheese, we're going to be using mushrooms and vegan cheese. You can add whatever you want. You can put avocado, you can put any sort of homemade vegan cheese that you like. You don't have to use mushrooms. You can use vegan sausage or homemade seitan. You can kind of do whatever you want, which is the beauty of this recipe. But in this case, I will be using the provolone daya slices and mushrooms. Arancinis are amazing to make if you have a lot of leftover rice, which a lot of vegans tend to make a lot of rice and have rice just lying around that needs to be used up. So this recipe is perfect for you. So to make the rice, which is the base of our arancini, we are gonna need 2 cups of jasmine rice, 1 quart or 4 cups of vegetable stock, half an onion, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 tablespoon dried or fresh rosemary, 1 tablespoon of herbes de provence, which is basically a fancy phrase for a whole bunch of herbs and stuff. It's really good. 1 vegetable bouillon cube, and salt and pepper to taste. So those are all the ingredients that you will need to actually cook your rice in. And then after your rice is cooked and cooled off, you're going to add in some truffle oil, which is optional. If you don't eat oil, you can add, instead of normal salt, add in truffle salt. You can get some at Trader Joe's for fairly cheap. And I just love the flavor of truffle, and I really wanted to include it in this recipe because it is so good. It'll take your food game to a whole nother level, and it'll just make everything taste super fancy. And when you have people taste it at parties or get-togethers, they'll be like, oh my gosh, what is that flavor? And you can just be like, it's truffle, bitch. And they'll be like, oh shoot, she fancy. And along with the truffle oil, you will be adding in fresh parsley. To start cooking your rice, you can begin to saute your onions in a large pot on the stove. You're gonna saute them for a few minutes until they become translucent. Then you can go ahead and add your garlic cloves, your thyme, your rosemary, herbes de provence, your bouillon cube, a little bit of salt and pepper, and a dash of vegetable stock to keep it moving in the pan, since I'm not using oil to cook any of this. Then you can go ahead and add your rice into the pot and saute it around with all of the onion, garlic, and flavors in there for a little bit. Stir it so it's well coated with everything, and then after 2 or 3 minutes, you can add in your quart of vegetable stock. Bring that up to a simmer and then cover your pot and let it cook. My rice took about 10 to 15 minutes. White jasmine rice takes absolutely no time to cook at all. It's pretty amazing. So whatever rice you're using, you can use brown rice if you want, but I like using white rice. It's a little bit stickier when it's done cooking, and it's a little bit easier to work with. So I recommend using white rice. After your rice has fully cooked, you can go ahead and add it to a parchment paper lined baking sheet and put it in the fridge or the freezer for about 15 to 30 minutes. Let it cool off completely, and while your rice is cooling off, we can gather the rest of our ingredients. So another element of arancini is the breadcrumbs. These are very important because it is the outer coating of the arancini, and you want them to be flavorful and delicious. So to make your breadcrumbs, you will need 1.5 cups of toasted breadcrumbs. I am just using panko breadcrumbs that I blended up in my food processor to make them a little bit finer. But you can get normal, like Italian breadcrumbs or normal breadcrumbs at the grocery store that are already really fine. But just be careful that you read the ingredients because some of them have milk products in them or something that's not vegan. I don't remember what it is, but just be careful of that. You will also need 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly cracked pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Along with your seasoned breadcrumbs, you're also going to need about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. You can also use whole wheat flour here if you want, and 1/2 cup of unsweetened almond milk. So all 3 of these things make up our dredging station. So what you're gonna do is take out your rice from the fridge or freezer once it's fully cooled. You're going to add in your truffle oil if you're using it, truffle salt, whatever truffle-y thing that you want. If you are super loaded, you can add in fresh truffles, but it's expensive. And of course your fresh parsley, you're gonna mix that together, and then you're gonna grab a handful of your rice and kind of make a little bowl out of it in your hand, and then in the middle you are going to stuff your little pieces of sauteed mushroom and vegan cheese. Ball up that rice as best as you can, trying to keep the filling in the middle. And then you are going to first dunk your arancini ball in the flour, then the almond milk, and then the toasted breadcrumbs. And if you're finding that the rice for the arancini is hard to work with, it keeps like not holding together right, you can add in some flour or about 1/4 cup of the breadcrumbs, and that will help it hold it together a little bit better. And I made mine pretty big. You don't have to make your balls this big. You can make them a little smaller if you want, but I just like big balls. And if you made them the size that I did, they make about 18 to 20 arancini. So once all of your balls are formed and ready to go, you can place them on a parchment paper lined baking sheet, put them in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and keep them in there for 12 to 13 minutes. Pull them out, check on them, flip them over, and place them back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. You know they're done when the outside is really crispy and crunchy, and when you can smell those delicious aromas wafting in your house. You can serve these with any kind of dipping sauce you like. I'm just keeping it simple with a marinara sauce. If you want a recipe for a simple tomato sauce, click here. I have a recipe that I posted a while ago. It's a pretty old video, but it's really, really good. Or you could just use your favorite store-bought tomato sauce. No shame in that game. I won't judge you. I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Leave a comment down below telling me if you're gonna try it yourself at home, and make sure that you follow me on social media. I would love to see you make these yourselves. Tag me in a picture. My Instagram handle is @MoreSaltPlease, and I look forward to seeing your beautiful food creations. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click that little red subscribe button so you are up to date and in the know for all of my future videos. All right, guys, make sure that you take care of yourself this week, eat good food, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Tell me what.